Okay.
Beautiful.
Very beautiful. Okay. First on our news doc is Dungeons and Dragons related. So, Dungeons and Dragons dropping editions developing VTT tools. Now, I will admit to you, I didn't know what VTT stood for. But
Yeah,
I'm
I
going
had
to
to
guess
think
it was
about
like
it for a
virtual
second.
tabletop?
Virtual tabletop, I believe, is what that stands for.
Yep. So, the virtual tabletop thing is very interesting. And that seems like something that could work for me. That could really work for me as an interesting idea.
I mean, if they're gonna have stuff, if in their virtual tabletop game or app or whatever it is, they need to integrate like buying the books, and if you buy a copy of the book, like one of the modules especially,
Yeah.
there should be a code in the book somewhere, or
Right.
that comes with the packaging that you can punch in to the app that gives you access to all the materials from the book in
Yeah.
the app.
I mean, the books probably have some kind of like serial number on them.
Yeah.
Just be like, yeah, just put in the serial number of the book and it'll recognize it. That's just one thing. Or like scan the barcode. I don't know. Scan the barcode.
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, yeah.
But it's a good idea. I think it's very cool.
Or they put a QR code in the book
Yeah.
somewhere or something. You can scan that in.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great to have that. Dropping editions also. So D&D has done editions. Obviously, we're in 5th edition. We started playing in 4th edition. They're going to start dropping editions. I just want to comment that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. They should just stop doing editions because, frankly, I don't think they're needed anymore. I think 5th edition's good. Just keep tweaking it as you see fit. They keep adding all these external resources to give more options like classes and races. Perfect.
Yeah.
Do that.
They are doing they are doing like, I wouldn't call it like a new edition, but they are altering some of the rules from 5th edition.
Yeah, that's
basically. They're calling it D&D 1.
Okay.
Or 1 D&D, I forget which way it is. But it's like that's going to be the new like definitive edition of D&D that they're going to build off of. And it's mostly 5th edition apparently. They've released, if you go onto their website, you can sign up to like play test it, and you can read they have an Unearthed Arcana that is like playtest rules for the new edition, and it's basically 5th edition, but they've made a few alterations to like, yeah, and the first Unearthed Arcana was basically like character building stuff. So like races, it didn't have classes yet, but it had races, backgrounds, feats, and a little bit of magic. So the races are like mostly the same, but the races don't affect your stats anymore.
Oh, interesting.
Now it's your background that affects your stats.
Okay. Okay. I mean, like, I don't really care about that change, but okay.
Yeah. And I think that also makes it like more customizable in terms of the stats, because they're like they put a template in it for like a custom background. They're like, you can make a custom background where like every background gives you +2 in one stat and +1 in a second stat.
Oh yeah,
or you could do or you could do +1 in 3 different stats. Basically, they said you could do that as well.
Yeah, that's
you get
a better
skill
way.
you get a skill proficiency, you get a tool proficiency, you get some starting equipment, and I think that's it. Maybe it was like 2 skill proficiencies. I don't remember. Like you get, but like there was a template for a background. Like, hey, you get like these, like you get stats, and then they had obviously a bunch of backgrounds that were like from 5th edition and some others that they had in there that like used that new template.
Got it.
So I think that's better and allows you to customize a little better, instead of like, hey, if you pick like a wood elf, you have +1 dexterity and +2 wisdom or whatever the heck it is, right?
Yeah.
So I think I agree. It's like that's better. they are the magic for magic. It looks like it's going to be pretty much the same, except they're changing it so that, well, they didn't go into it completely, so I don't know how it's going to be different for the different classes, but they have bundled magic into 3 different like buckets basically. Instead of every class having its own spell list,
Mm-hmm.
each of the classes or the magic classes will be in one of the 3 buckets, and then the spell list comes from the bucket as opposed to the individual class. So you have the arcane bucket, which
Yep.
is most of the classes are in that. That's wizard, sorcerer, warlock, and bard,
Okay.
I think. And then you have the divine bucket, which is cleric and paladin. And then you have the primal or the nature magic, which is druid and ranger.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, and so you would like pull your like the spells that you can choose from the
From the bucket.
arcane.
Yep.
Like, yeah, arcane has like a set of spells that you can choose from, primal has a set of spells that you can choose from, and divine has a set of spells you can choose from, instead of like each individual class having like a set of spells that you can
Sure.
choose from. So they're simplifying that a little bit, I guess, in
Is
terms
there
of
overlap
that.
for spells? Like, can you take an arcane spell? Like, is an arcane spell also able to be in the bucket for a primal spell? Or
Certain ones I saw, I didn't look like there was
Yeah,
only
yeah.
list of cantrips and then first level spells. There was a little bit of overlap, like cure wounds and healing
Yeah,
word were
because
both
those are
in
like
both they were both in divine and primal, where
and primal.
those
Yeah,
spells were like both in there.
yeah, that
So
makes
like
sense. Because
there are
like
certain ones that will have overlap, but
yeah,
others that won't. So like
okay,
something like sacred flame, that's a divine spell. Like
yes,
no, that's not going to be shared on any of the, and like guiding bolt as well. That's, you know.
yeah, no, that makes sense. But like there should be some overlap with like cure wounds. Like cure wounds can be.
Yeah.
I could see it as both in both
Yeah.
pools, so that makes sense. Okay, I mean that's good because it's a little bit. I would say it's a little nicer to be like, yeah, you just choose from a bucket as opposed to having to look up the list and
I
then go
mean, you
from
still
there.
have to look up the list. There's just fewer
There's
lists to
just
look
fewer
up.
lists,
It's just
right?
less complex.
You just don't have to look at each individual list for each individual class. You can just
Yeah.
say, oh yeah, it's just this bucket. Oh great, that's nice.
And I'm sure there will still be like certain, there are certain classes that like get certain spells for like free basically. I'm sure there will still be that, and that might potentially pull from a different bucket. Like, like a wildfire druid, for example, would get some of the fire spells out of the
Sure.
arcane bucket, right? They get like fireball and stuff like that. So,
Yeah. Got it.
but yeah, so yeah, they're making some minor rule adjustments. But it's based on fifth edition
Okay.
basically. Um,
Got it.
oh, the other thing that sorry that I forgot is that the backgrounds give you is a feat. Every background gives you a feat as
Okay.
well. And they're also changing feats to have certain requirements as well. I think there might have been some before,
There are
but
some before.
level requirements is
There it
one, and they
is.
only showed first level feats in this Unearthed Arcana, and all the background ones obviously are you get a first level feat, but like there are some feats in fifth edition that are just like they're really good and feels like you should have to be higher level to pick them, right?
Yeah.
Like, sharpshooter is the one that I always go to.
Sharpshooter's
I'm like,
ridiculous.
this feat is just broken. Like,
It's so stupid.
one, it needed to be nerfed, and two, like, yeah, I feel like you should have to be at least like, I don't know, probably at least like fifth level, if not higher than that, to take that thing.
Yeah.
Like,
No, sharpshooter's very good. Sharpshooter's very good. Everybody takes it. They're like, oh, are you gonna use a bow?
Yeah. Yeah, if you're an archer,
You should take it.
that. You take
You should
that
take
feat.
this. Take this feat. Like,
Yeah.
Like, oh, you must have taken sharpshooter because you have a bow. Oh, yes, yeah. What else? This must be the virtual. Where's the? Yeah, so I was just looking at some of the virtual tabletop stuff, the digital. I'm just looking at some of the screenshots here. I mean, it looks. I like the virtual tabletop. If this is it, very nice.
And yeah, if they can do like a good job with the virtual tabletop, and again have good like importing tools and also ways obviously for people to customize their own campaigns and their own maps within that tool.
Yeah,
You know,
that'd be
that's
great.
gonna be really nice for them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's other options there. I mean, we use Roll20, and I know there are others. There's another app that's on Steam right now called Tailspire. I haven't used it yet, but it's a 3D model like virtual tabletop, which is what this one looks like.
Okay. Got it.
But obviously, Wizards is seeing the opportunity and saying like, this is like our property, and we should take advantage of that and make our
Yeah.
own, and make people pay for it. I'm sure. So
Wizards like, hey, wait a second. Dungeons and Dragons just became far more
yeah,
popular in the
it's
last 10
it's
years. We should do
with
something.
with fifth edition, which was much more streamlined, and then stuff like Critical Role as well taking off. Like D&D became much more mainstream and much more popular. So
And yeah, it's just like, and the fact that it's virtual tools have
yeah,
provided
oh yeah,
opportunity. So that's also kind of an additional thing on top of that. So, okay. Yeah, let's move forward.
hmm
Diablo 4 quarterly update. Okay. So, this is just, it seems like I'm just going to look at this first paragraph. Some of what's coming, to Diablo 4 after the game ships. This is often referred to as a live service, and we have ambitious plans here. Can I just stop really quickly on this?
hmm
Whenever Blizzard says ambitious plans now, I get really scared.
yeah.
Because really it's Bobby Kotick saying, I have ambitious plans here to buy a
On
third yacht.
how to take your money.
and I need a third yacht. So I'm going to need ambitious plans to get that because, well, I mean, Microsoft's going to come in here at some point and Bobby will be gone. But so it looks like they've got some stuff, and I think I want to jump ahead to monetization. It looks like they have new content, so like they're going to do seasons. That's kind of a Diablo thing right now. They do seasons. New content. I mean, I feel like if you're gonna they have to have new content like expansions and new characters, refreshing the meta, yada yada yada.
Yeah, I mean I read through this a couple of days ago when I posted it. The thing about new content, at least what they're saying is that like every season there's going to be like new quests and new areas to explore
Yeah,
as like free updates, which is like they need to do that. Obviously there's going to be paid expansions at some point, but if they want to keep people interested in this game with like each new season, they need to add new stuff to the game. That's not just like cosmetic monetization bullcrap. Like they
right,
need to add actual like playable content to the game for people.
right. So here's monetization. I'm Keegan Clark, Director of Product, aka the guy that makes sure we make money. So this guy is talking about monetization. As we previously discussed, Diablo 4 will be a full price game with a cosmetics shop and season pass. I don't know what it is, but Blizzard in particular, why full price game with cosmetics and season pass? Can I ask you a question? Doesn't it bother you? Let's pretend we're not talking about Diablo. Does it bother you when a game now, today in 2022, late 2022, says we're going to be a $60 game. However, we're also going to do a cosmetics shop. Let's ignore Battle Pass. All multiplayer games do Battle Passes now. It doesn't matter what your price point is. Does it bother you now when a game says we're $60 but also have a cosmetics shop?
It probably should, but it feels like the norm right now with a lot of AAA releases, so it doesn't really bother me anymore. And I'm not one who is goaded or enticed by it most of the time. I just
Sure.
ignore it. I'm just like it's there and I don't care.
Sure.
So and I'm not going to buy anything out of it. So
I am now always surprised when AAA studios who are coming out with multiplayer games are still deciding to do a $60 price point. Like for example, I think Call of Duty should be free now. I think they should just make Call of Duty free. I think most multiplayer
maybe
games
maybe
should just
if
be free now.
I think with Call of Duty, what they could do is they could make the multiplayer free, and if you want the campaign, you
Yeah,
pay for
that's
that.
fine. And that
Like
campaign should be like
not
20
$60
bucks.
though. It should be like
Yeah, 20
30, like
bucks.
30 or
20
30 or
30
4,
bucks. Yeah, yeah.
probably 20, but they would realistically charge 30 or 40 for it probably.
Right.
But realistically, you're right. It probably should
Right.
be 20.
I think at this point, multiplayer games need to start just being free. And my first thought is firstly, like we're kind of in a situation now of 2022 where multiplayer games are coming out for free. And what that does is it brings in different, bigger audiences. I think that being a free multiplayer game, though, works even better in your favor when you're not a mature rated game. For example, like Fortnite's not mature rated. It gets a much different and much more expanded audience as a result. Multiverses, same thing. Multiverses is not a mature game. Gets this expanded audience as a result. Call of Duty maybe doing that probably isn't like gonna expand its audience much more because it's a mature game. But I'm always surprised when like Diablo is Diablo a mature game? Do they put it as mature? Okay, just making sure.
It's always been M rated. Diablo 2 is M rated.
Just making sure. So M rated games in this case it probably wouldn't work out, but like I will say I'm surprised when games are like, yeah, we're $60 and we have a cosmetic shop. Because I'm like, I already gave you 60. Why are you asking me to give you more again right away? I'm a little bit surprised by it. I know we're used to it by now, but I will say that I don't like seeing that anymore. And like in this kind of multiplayer kind of game, like I don't know, it drives me the wrong way.
I mean, okay, Diablo has a multiplayer in it, but like like they have to build the world and like story, voice acting, campaign, monsters, bosses. Like it's not just like it's not a Call of Duty where they build like 5 to 10 maps and then just like, all right, play the stupid thing.
Well, they build 5 to 10 maps. They make sure they have every character modeled appropriately. They have all the various artistic work. There's voice acting in Call of Duty. I suppose there's a campaign when they decide they want to do a campaign.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're right, but and again, maybe people should be more cognizant or care more, but it's just kind of expected from especially like from the big dogs, the big publishers like Activision and EA. Like they don't really put out free games. Like they're gonna charge you $60 and then there's gonna be tack on. Like there's gonna be a lot of MTX in there too. Like that. Like
yeah.
Madden should be freaking free to play. Like
100%
Madden.
Yeah.
Madden shouldn't even release a new game every year. They should just keep updating the same game and it should just be free to play at this point, right? But they won't do that because one, they can get people to buy it every year, and two, they reset frickin' Ultimate Team every year with the new release and you have to redo everything. So
I'm moving to the shop here. I know they talk about the season pass. It's going to have all the stuff that everybody else says it's going to have. Cosmetics. It'll have some premium currency. It's going to be 2-tiered. Blah, blah, blah. We don't need to hear about it. You're doing the same thing everybody else is doing. You don't have to tell us about it. Here's the shop. The way we approached designing the shop and the cosmetics within it was by thinking about the experience we want players to have. We want buying things to feel good before, during, and after purchase. So, if players choose to buy something, it should be because they want to, not because they feel like they have to. It should also be clear to players exactly what they are getting before they choose to buy, with no unpleasant surprises. Okay, so it seems like there's going to be more cosmetics, variety of transmogs from weapons and armors players.
That also, like, that statement to me, and I guess they didn't say it outright, so maybe they'll go back on it, but that means no loot boxes. Like, this is going to be like, you see what you're buying and you pay for it, and that's it.
Right.
Like, there's an upfront price. Like, this skin costs X amount of premium currency. This skin costs 1,000 premium currency, whatever
Yeah.
it is, and that's it. Like,
Oh no, if they say that and then put loot boxes in like a month later, it's just like, first off, I wouldn't be surprised, but secondly, it's just so deceitful. Oh my god. The shop sells cosmetics for premium currency. Great. Shop is optional. No shit. The shop is transparent. Okay. The best looking cosmetics aren't exclusive to the shop. And there's just some examples of some things. Armor transmogs in the shop are usable on all characters of that class. So just them talking about the way they're going to monetize the game past your entry purchase. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'm incredibly skeptical of Blizzard at this point. My sense is they're going to say all this, and then like a few months later, they'll be like, hey, we added a new monetization feature. Are you tired of only have Are you tired of only having 4 pages on your character's inventory chest that you get your stash? Good news.
Yeah. Stash tabs.
Stash tabs. Path of Exile does that. We decided we're going to do it.
Path of Exile is free to play. That's the difference.
Oh my god. Did Bobby just heard that? He said, okay. Okay. That don't matter to me. I need a 3rd yacht. Quick. Put some stash things in there. I'm super skeptical of Blizzard.
Yeah.
Whenever they do anything, I think
as you should be, but I don't know. I'm hopium on this one, but I really want Diablo 4 to be good because I think it's looked good up till this point, and what they've talked about in this article is nothing beyond what I was expecting, to be honest. It was like, yeah, we're gonna have a season pass that has a free side and a premium side, but they said the premium side is only gonna have like basically cosmetics, nothing that affects gameplay, like premium currency and like cosmetics. So everything that affects gameplay is on the free side. Obviously you have to play, you have to grind for it, like any battle pass or season pass, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And then the cosmetic shop, which is on, as so far they're saying it's only a cosmetic shop, nothing affecting gameplay. Basically, so far, I mean, part of what they said in this article is like, you cannot buy anything that affects gameplay with real money. That's a lot of what they were saying in this article.
Because they literally can't do that. If they did that in Diablo, nobody would play it. They literally can't do it. They can do it in Immortal because it's a mobile game. Mobile games get to cheat. Mobile games cheat. You can't do it in Diablo 4. If they did it, that's actual suicide for the franchise.
It would be suicide for the franchise.
Like, I'm sure somebody tried to be like, well, can we squeeze in this? And no, you can't. You literally can't. That's like doing that for like Halo. It's like, hey, if you buy this in the store, you will do 10% extra damage. That's just suicide for the game. You just killed the game right there. So, I mean, like, if they had said something was affecting gameplay, this game would not sell.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it would sell, just not sell as much as they would want. So of course they have to say all that. If they said that, it'd just be crazy. But yeah, and they also just can't do it. Like if they did, that's crazy. I'm just concerned about, they said that. They said, oh, it's going to be cosmetics in the shop. There's nothing stopping that product guy from getting a fucking light bulb idea and going, hey, wait a second. I think we can monetize 4 more things. 2 months after release, and it just happens. And it's like things that are like, oh, well, gosh, I wish there would be more stash space because we're running out. Wouldn't it be nice if they added more stash space? And the product guy is like, oh, great, I can monetize that now.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do.
Or like character slots is another thing I could see them like freaking Lost Ark does that, and it's like, yeah, you can pay $10, you've played like 3 seasons now and you have like 6 max level characters up, you better buy another character slot if you want another character.
And it's just like that's the kind of thing the product guy is like, he's getting hard on that. That's the kind of stuff he's excited about. because he like they potentially plan for that too. They're like, oh well, like there's like 6 characters a game, whatever, 6 classes. In Lost Ark, there's more. There's like kind of like more expanded on that, but
there's like 20 classes
yeah,
in Lost Ark.
There's a ton. But in this, like, oh yeah, there's like 5 classes. How many characters do you think a player's going to make, like, on average? What's the data for that on previous Diablo games? Most players make about, like, you know, they got like 7 characters. In Diablo 2, some of those characters were like the mule characters. That product guy's thinking, he's like, oh, well, by that data, we can limit it to 8, and then whenever somebody wants to get a 9th, I can charge them $10 for it. That's the kind of thing. That's full mast. That's full mast.
Full mast.
Because he's like, oh shit. Like, I just used the data to charge an extra $10. Like, that's exciting. That's what concerns me. And like, I know Blizzard will do that. I know Blizzard will do that now. Some other games don't really do that because they just want to provide the best experience possible for the players because they want them to keep playing and they want them to be excited. So they're going to give away all this free shit to the players. Like, Goromon, for example, did not have to put randomization features in their video game at all. They really didn't, but they did. It's like, okay, we're new on the block. We have to like we're going to add extra stuff because we want to make people keep playing our game. We want to keep changing up the experience. Blizzard's not going to necessarily think that way. They're going to think like, oh, well, gosh, most people have like five tabs of stash usually on average. Can we charge for the 6th? That's exactly what they're thinking. That's the product guy. I don't even remember what his name was, but he's thinking about it in the meeting room with somebody like looking at the data with him. Like, oh yeah, 6 tab. Most people don't get there, you know, but the hardcore players usually get there. Like 20% of the people get there, so we can charge like $20. We can charge like $5 for that. That's why I don't trust Blizzard, because I know that there's somebody there doing that.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, I'm hopium with this one. I want Diablo 4 to be good. I want Blizzard to be back in form, as it were. I mean, we'll never get the old Blizzard again. That's not gonna happen. But like,
it would be nice to see like a Blizzard game that we don't have to see controversy about all the time.
Yeah, like it comes out and it's like people like it. Like, it's a good game. We don't know what they're gonna do down the line, as you're saying, but like, it has a decent amount of content. It's fun to play. You know, there's at least a decent amount of end game on release, and like the seasoned content is like interesting.
Yeah,
and, you know, it's not. And the monetization isn't like too egregious. You know, it's going to be there, but
it's going to be there. But if it's not super aggressive, then okay. Every time Blizzard has released a game in the last couple of years, I don't know anything about WoW in particular, but like there's been controversy. Hearthstone doesn't really count. Hearthstone doesn't really count there anymore. But like Diablo Immortal, controversy. Even Diablo 2 Remastered, there were a lot of issues. We're not even going to talk about Warcraft 3 Reforged because Blizzard doesn't think that exists anymore. Overwatch 2. Everybody's saying like this looks like the exact same game as Overwatch 1. Like, all this controversy. I would love to see Diablo 4 not have controversy on release. That would be great. That's like a huge step forward at this point. That would be massive. I would also like Blizzard to recognize that StarCraft also exists. That'd be great. That'd be great. But I can't hit my hopium on that. I miss StarCraft. Playing StarCraft campaign, by the way, makes me miss that game. Makes me miss playing that game. That is such a good game. Anyway, look, I'm you can be on the hopium. That's perfectly fine. I hope at some point Blizzard can come back, but
I'm overdosing on the hopium for D4 right now.
It's fine too. I'm with you on certain other games. I overdose, but I know Blizzard way too well at this point to know like there's somebody looking at a fucking table of data and he's just like, he or she, I don't know who it is just like, look, I know all the player averages of the previous 2 Diablo games. Can I charge this extra stuff? Because Bobby's behind me. He needs a 4th yacht. I gotta get him the 4th yacht. Gotta get it. And it's just that's just like that's what scares me. It's like other games I don't worry about that, but man, Blizzard, I know Activision's there now. So I hope I do hope the best for Diablo 4 though. But I personally am skeptical, but I just don't want controversy on release. If there's no controversy on release, I'd say that's a success.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway,